Holy fuck, that's loud.
You are loud.
I think the music's louder than our voices when we're trying to talk, but still.
Yeah. What do we need music in, like
I do have
a directed, right? Like, tone it down a bit.
No, it's the loading.
Especially
They
now.
don't need to hear us now.
Oh, it's a lowering screen. Oh.
Because it's not ending under 3 more minutes. You okay?
I was trying to make them the light with the soft light throughout.
Oh shit. Hello. I suddenly went to the other Discord channel.
Dude, what if instead of holiday, I would call out?
Wait, don't say it now. We're on the stream. You can hear us.
Oh dear.
Fucking holiday, man. What the fuck?
I like how it didn't thank us. The fact that we're live.
Yeah, why the fuck is this that thumbnail? You know, people watching the replay are gonna be wondering what the fuck we're talking about. Oh, hey, someone's already in here.
Yeah.
By the way, the reason I'm not muting myself is because if I mute myself, they can still hear you, and it would just sound like you're talking to yourself. I don't want to make you feel lonely like that. So... Come on.
There we go.
And, message Yusuf. Alright, Eric's ready. We know you can hear us, by the way. See, the reason I'm not muting us is because if I mute myself, you can still hear Harry. And if you can hear Harry and not me, he'll sound like he's a retard. And I mean, he is, but like, I got his back. We can both be retarded together. I can just play this off as if I forgot to mute again. Yeah. Alright, there's 1 more minute to sign up.
Oh, God, this is...
Did you say you're going to the toilet? What'd you say?
What? No. The guy, Rager. So considerate.
Yeah, I saw. Hey, you know what? I gotta do the Filmo voice. Hello, everyone. Today we are doing the director's breakdown of the prologue. Nah, fuck that. There ain't no formalities here. What's up, Survivalists? Welcome to the episode. What episode is it? 18 of the Levaslier production diary. Tonight we are going over the director's breakdown of everything that happens in the prologue. So this is symbolisms, explaining the story, what creative choices we had to make and why we did them, inspirations and whatnot. In with the stream to me today is Harry. Later on,
Hello.
I think Eric's joining, as well as Yusuf, our composer. So he'll be talking a little bit about the sound and how and the decisions that went into the sound design. Cool. Before I do anything too special here, we are on my website. I've just revamped this to have a bit more stuff onto it. So if you haven't seen our website, it looks pretty nice. I'm still working on it. I recently got a blog out. If you check the blog. test. Alright, so there's that. Now I'm setting the entire thing up. Don't worry about that. You can actually check out the lore and the characters pages as well if you wanted to know more about the series. We've got some synopsis and whatnot. Nothing too special. Do check out the website if you want. Patreon, again, is set up. We recently did another upgrade. I added the synopsis stuff here and this concept art picture, which is cool. And finally, we've got merch, but I'm not doing too much with that yet. So be aware that it exists. Just, I'm not doing too much with that yet. So It's alright if you forget about it. Anyway, well, let's start looking at the prologue. I'm gonna be looking at it on my on my website. Give me 2 seconds. I also found out that ginger beer is a thing that's in UK and Australia. And so in places where you find ginger beer, you don't see root beer, and in places where you see root beer, you don't see ginger beer. The more you know. Also, I don't like ginger beer, I like root beer. Right, Riger says how spoilery is the lore. If you guys don't know me, my nickname is Tom Holland. I spoil literally everything without knowing. So once someone gets me in a conversation, I'm just gonna start spoiling everything. But because I have written the synopsis at like 5 a.m. and I've taken the time to process everything to make sure there's no spoilers, I don't think that it'll be too spoilery. Everything that's here is going to be public information. It's not going to be a spoiler. Speaking of spoilers, one of my lecturers... Sorry, I'm not starting yet, by the way. I'm just trying to wait for some more people. One of my lecturers was asking me about the series, and I was like, oh, I can't really say much because so much happens in episode 1. He's like, if it happens in episode 1, it's probably not a spoiler. Speaking in episode 1, the other day I showed off the printed version of the script. Here it is right now. You'd be pleased to know that everything is now completely marked up. And what marked up means, Eric helped me with this one. It's, I don't know. Can I show the first page? I think I can show the first page fine. So basically, we've just gone through and we marked out every single camera angle, and like we've highlighted all the characters involved, drew some maps on the rooms and like where the cameras are going to be placed. So once we have all of these sorted out, like with editor notes as well, then we can start working on a shot list, and that's going to list every single shot and in which order we're going to make them. And finally, we're going to start doing the storyboard, which is where you draw the pictures out. That should take quite a while, but when you spend time doing that, you waste less time in the actual animation. So, there we go. There's that. Professionalism. Cool. Let's get the actual premiere started. Excuse me, not the premiere, the prologue. My god. Let me turn this down a little bit. We start off with this quote from John 15:18. This is a quote from the Bible. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before you. If you guys don't get the reference here, now I don't want to pull this up yet because I'm scared I'm going to get hit with another copyright strike, but Dylan Gu. Dylan Gu is one of my biggest inspirations. He himself was inspired by Monty and Dylan Gu made this animation called Gods Don't Bleed. You've heard me reference this over and over and over again. Gods Don't Bleed is one of the best Minecraft animations there is to this day, and it was made way back in like 2014 or whatever. Now I'm not gonna move that to the other screen right now because I have been hit with a copyright strike before from this channel. He took it down, not a strike, like a claim. But he did take it down because it was in fair use, right? So I'm just gonna take a still frame from it. I'm not gonna grab the whole video. Just give me 2 seconds while I find it. And this is how, oops, wrong one. This is how he started off his Gods Don't Die, which is the sequel to Gods Don't Bleed. Here it is. This is the still frame. If the world hates you, you know that it has hated me before it has hated you. Now, did I take this quote directly from him? Yes. Does it have significance in my story? Absolutely. I put it in mine for a reason, and it's not just to copy Dylan. If you take a look at the entire prologue, I'll explain this as we go along. This prologue was meant for someone, and it's like a recap, a message for from Arkosh, right? So let's move on. The questions here that poses is, if I quote this, who is the you in this phrase, and who's the me? Now we know the me is Arkosh because this entire thing is based around Arkosh, but who is the you? I'm sure some of you guys have already figured this out by now, but let's keep on heading on.
Word has reached
shot of horse. I don't think visually there's anything too stunning here. This is just very basic cinematography. I don't consider myself a cinematographer. I actually had my cinematography guys from my school, like film school. They took a look at this and they said it was fine. So I said, okay, it's fine. More importantly, here is the dialogue. For those who didn't see me at PAX, you won't know the synopsis of the entire prologue. Basically, hold up, I just lost the stream. Right, basically, the entire prologue synopsis is that the ex-Warlord, Arkosh Levaslier, our main slime guy here, he is being called back by Lord Ulfrin. That's the voice that you're hearing in the beginning. Lord Ulfrin being the Lord of Hemorrhage City, the main city that Levaslier is going to take place in. He's requested by Lord Ulfrin, his good friend, to take back this location called Dyer Shield Fortress. I don't have the map of Lazuria with me. I would love to pull it up to show you exactly where in the location this is, but it's gonna take me like 10 hours to find it. Harry, do you happen to have the map with you? Could you send it to me if you can find it?
Yeah,
that'd be great. What's going on with your audio?
What happened?
Your mic's going crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, you're scraping it all over something. Anyway,
Is it still crazy?
No. Anyway, so I'll try to explain it. Here is Lazuria, where my hand is. Here is Sakrasara. Lazuria is the main nation that everything Lazuria in Levaslier happens in. This is where Hemorrhage is, right? It's one nation. The second nation is Sakrasara. This is like a desert, and they are at war against each other. Dyer Shield happens to be right there, and that's the only way Sakrasara can enter. If Sakrasara takes Dyer Shield, Lazuria can be invaded. That's why Dyer Shield is that important. Hence also the Lazurian and Sakrasaran war.
I had to call upon you so suddenly, my friend, but I must request your assistance. Dyer Shield is too great a massive.
You put out the map yet?
No, I couldn't find it. Could you find it?
I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi on so I could get on Discord and send you it.
Yeah, thanks.
There we go.
Alright, so here we go. The first time we ever get to see Dyer Shield. I think for anyone who's played the Elder Scrolls or Skyrim, you instantly know what Dyer Shield is based off of. It's, of course, based off of Bleak Falls Barrows. Not even going to bother hiding that. There's no point hiding that. I absolutely took inspiration from Skyrim. That build looks amazing, and I always knew that I wanted a build like that. Like, this was when Skyrim first came out. I loved the way Bleak Falls Barrows looked in that trailer. I just wanted to have that. So, there's Dyer Shield. Actually, the name Dyer Shield, we came up with that. When did we come up with that? Because I knew we needed a fortress somewhere. It's just we never knew the name of it. I think we literally took two random words, stuck them together, and it sounded cool. I think that was the entire thought process for naming this place Dyer Shield. That was literally it. Nothing special behind that. We later on, actually, decided to name one of the Warlords Warlord Dyer Shield, and he's actually in the prologue in like a little painting. I'm going to get to that. But we also, for the first time, we get to see a Sakrasaran archer with this bow that I made. If you guys watch my tutorial series, you're gonna know that I made this bow tutorial at one point. That's exactly the point where I made this bow. But this is not a technical breakdown. This is more of the director's breakdown of the creative thought process. I really have to thank my assistant animator here for just finishing off some of my stuff. At first, the animation was very stiff. It was like he turned around, he went like that. But then my my assistant animator went in and just smoothed everything out, so it's like it just flows so much better. This scene, I feel like I didn't base this off of anything. This tilt upwards reveal, but in hindsight, it does feel very Assassin's Creed-y. It does, especially Assassin's Creed 2. The first time we see Ezio with the dual blades. I didn't base it off of that, but in hindsight, when I look at it now, I can see it. And I do love Assassin's Creed.
Not too much Ezio. I feel like it's more Altair, honestly.
No, in the first Assassin's Creed 2 trailer, Ezio leaped, like, he jumped off a building, and it was, like, a top-down angle of him with his, like, double blades. Josiah 2 says, nothing like, it's a dire location, and it is sort of vital importance. Oh, right, no, yeah, of course. That was it! We forgot our own reasoning. Yeah, no, Josiah got the reasoning before we did. Yes, that was exactly it. It is a dire location because it is the crucial point between Sakrasara and Lazuria, and it's also a shield that protects everything else. That was the reasoning. How did...
We completely forgot.
Yeah, completely forgot about that. Yes, you were right. I don't know how you got that, but we forgot about it. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Now we have the song that starts playing. The song was not made by Yusuf. It was actually made by the sound mixer Adam. Great guy. He's from my school. We actually wanted to use this other song, but it was copyrighted. The song was "Fear" by Andrew Judah. And I really like this, not because it fits really well with the visuals, but the name of the song is Fear, and a big theme of Levaslier is fear. That being said, though, Adam's version, or Adam's original song, because he based it off of Fear, but he didn't copy it, right? He played it himself. This song is called Strength in Fear, or Strength in the Fear. I forget the exact name. And the lyrics for this one were written specifically for this prologue. I believe he found a guy called Francis Eluzo, and that's the singer as well. He wrote the lyrics, sent them over to me. I double-checked them and wrote some, fixed some stuff, wrote it back. So I'm gonna explain the lyrics a little bit. Let me turn on the CC if I can, because I did write the lyrics down. No, why the English? What auto-generated? I wrote the lyrics. Alright, whatever. Let's hope the CC is correct. I really do like this shot. It just looking up at look how I framed him. You see how Arkosh is down in the bottom corner while the Dyer Shield Fortress itself is towering way above him. Did this intentionally. Line him up on the rule of thirds as well. So that's composition 101 there. In composition terms, this just means that whatever's ahead of Arkosh is looming over him. It's much bigger than him. Nothing too special there. I think that's very basic. Anyone who watches this can instantly get it. He said, oh, I'm afraid, but I'll still keep marching on. And from this point, I think you can start to gather that this entire song is basically from Arkosh's perspective. The reason we went with this type of song instead of the typical orchestral heavy metal stuff is because we wanted to show that this wasn't Arkosh's battle. He was fighting for someone else and he didn't want to fight, and that the lyrics represent that as well. Though he's being a real badass and whatnot, he doesn't want to be doing it. So in the song, you can actually hear some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of melancholy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Also, map is up in Discord if you ever want to access.
Thank you. Wait, is Eric in the Eric, if you're in the stream, can you get onto Team W&J? I'd like to have you as a host as well. Yo, that's the old map. Do you have the new map? I have that map.
That's the old map?
Yeah.
Really? Give me a bit.
Thanks. Check your Facebook. Alright, so
yep.
Dark Clouds, with the lyrics here, it's Dark Clouds of Fear, I wish I could see the sun. Of course, that alludes to fear over Arkosh. And another big theme of Levaslier is that we're not trying to run away from the fear. We're not trying to fight the fear. We're not trying to push away the fear or overcome the fear. We're trying to embrace it. We're trying to welcome it, and that's how strength comes in. So having the fear loom over him and him embracing it and him wishing to see the sun is like, how should I say this? He wishes to see the bright and the dark, basically. The yin and the yang. That's what I'm trying to say. This, I don't want to get too technical here, but this shot took forever to render for another video. Actually, before I released the prologue, a few months ago, I made this test. I made a 360 picture exactly where the camera is now. And if you zoom into that bridge over there, which is where they fight later on, you can actually see them fighting. Because that's when I decided to test out that 360 camera. Anyway, so basically his entire route, you can see his entire route here. There he is. There's Arkosh. He essentially sneaks up the side, goes up the middle, right? Does those little spins shit, and the snipers are over there. Jumps down to the middle, runs up those stairs, goes to the bridge, and then gets captured and brought inside. That's his entire route. Did we also mention what Dyer Shield is for? Other than protecting Lazuria from Sakrasara, Dire Shield is actually the Holiday?
Holiday.
Okay. If you ever hear us saying holiday, it means we caught onto something that we can't move on from. I'm gonna back up from that. Yeah, exactly. So here's the lyrics, right? Listen to these lyrics. So many battles, none of them are even mine. That's what Arkosh is feeling right now as he's stepping into battle. So the song is entirely from Arkosh's perspective, but for who is another question. That's the same person as in the beginning. Another one of those, I love these things. When you zoom in on a camera physically and you dial the focus ring, not the focus ring, the focal length, you get what's called a vertigo zoom. And I love this effect. Just like, look at how everything just kind of distorts behind it. I love that effect to show sort of fear, panic, or focus, or something's gone wrong. I just love that. I use it like twice or 3 times. I don't remember. Also, these like lyrics, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna turn off the captions because they just aren't working with me. Also, I believe I'm lagging by a good 10 to 15 seconds. So if you ever type something and it takes me forever to reply, like, just bear with me. Alright. This POV shot. About this POV shot. Everybody loves this POV shot. Every time someone watches this video, they go, I love the POV shot. The mistake was not adding more POV shots. Haha, but it wasn't a mistake. Guess what? After I put the camera in his head, right, I never removed the camera. The camera was in his head for the rest of the animation. What that means is that I can render this entire prologue in first person from Arkosh's perspective, and I can re-upload that all in first person. Yeah, I saw that one coming. I know how much you guys love this POV shot. I love this POV shot too. What's up?
Map is updated map is in Discord.
Thank you.
Everyone
okay.
access.
Let me just pause the video here. So for anyone who wants to grasp a little understanding of where everything is, well, hold on. Let me toss this onto my desktop so I can see it better. Hold up.
Yeah.
Here you go. So right there, that's Dire Shield Fortress. That's Hemorrhage up here. This entire map is for Lazuria. Down over there, that's where Sakrasara is. The only way they can get in is through this place we call the Forbidden Forest and into Dire Shield. Right? That's the first base that they can find. So Dire Shield is a really crucial point. Palisade over there, that's the capital. That's where we don't want any of them to go. I said we. Why am I doing this?
I'm off to the toilet. Be right back.
Sure. Josiah says, I honestly would be interested in seeing that. I still would keep it as it was, as it makes it more special. Yeah, I agree. But as like an Easter egg or bonus or something. I'm actually planning to put the entire POV prologue on Patreon. Because, listen, having to re-render the entire thing, having to make sure it all flows properly, and then edit it, and then color grade it, and then re-upload it, that takes effort and time. And that's really just bonus. It's a bonus. It's a bonus. You've seen the entire story here. If you want more, I feel like that should be on Patreon. So I agree. This is like a short treat into what's possible in the POV sense. I love it. And I personally, I want to see the entire thing in POV as well, just to see what it looks like. Like, I don't care if the animation is good or not. I don't care, because I've cheated. Like, his legs in this scene are not moving, right? So I have cheated a lot. And you're gonna see a lot of the cheats in first person. But do you care? It's the entire thing in first person. Like, it's just like a treat. So, I would do that just for Patreon. I'm not sure how many people noticed that, but we do have a signal fire there. That's where the guard... So the guard down there, he didn't disappear. He actually ran back in to alert the rest of the people in this little base here. And one of them lit the torch. The guy's actually standing right there, but it's just really hard to see. There is an archer standing right there. He just never shoots. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it right there. Yeah. So that fire is how the rest of the base knows that someone has intruded the area. This bow shot, nothing special here. In hindsight, I would have made him curve back a bit more, but I wanted him to get as close to the arrow as possible. Here's the thing. When someone throws an object at you and you go, "Huh!" and you like dodge it by a mile, it shows that you're sort of afraid of something, right? But if someone throws something at you and you like it comes at you and you just slide away by that much, right? It shows that you're very confident and that you can dodge stuff like super easily. No fear, no threat at all. I don't think I did it as well as I could have here. I think this just turned out to be quite funny looking. There are different ways that I think I could have done this differently, and this is not the best way I could have done it. Dude jumps in. I love this shot. Just kind of like the impact of that one. Smashed really hard. That one, I feel like, was a bit better. See, that one, he kind of arched back to dodge it just by that much. So it was like a combination of both. He arched back to dodge it, so you can clearly tell that he's dodging. But it also just narrowly clips his cape. I think I measured the distance between the arrow and his cape, and it was like 1 millimeter or something along the lines of that. So that sort of action shows Arkosh's confidence in combat, especially. I remember at PAX when people saw that, they went, "Whoa!" and then he hit the head here. Did that, and like the audience reaction was great. I loved it. You saw him cut the head off. Oh, boom. Oh. So also another thing is that you guys have seen me choreograph fights before. I've done a video on choreographing. It was a very short video, just showing you my mind when it comes to choreographing. And I do all these actions by myself. I make sure these actions can be done before I animate them. I myself, I'm a martial artist, so I do really want to see if what I'm doing works. I haven't made this video yet, but there is a difference between real fighting, fantasy fighting, and realistic fighting. See, realistic fighting is not real fighting. It's somewhere in between, and that's what looks good on screen, for me at least. This is a little bit of a parkour sequence there. Alright, this is my favorite fight scene, right? I don't know if you guys overlooked this one, but I can break down exactly what happens. Well, do I have to? I mean, it's a fight. There were lots of movements here that went unnoticed, I think, just because the camera was stationary. But I do want to talk a little bit about the camera position right now. I received a comment that said something along the lines of he doesn't really understand some of the stationary cameras. I think this would be one of them. In this case, why is the high camera angle necessary? This was actually me trying to allure to the fact that the archers were still looking down on him and that he was still vulnerable. I don't really think this went through as well as I could have. Instead, it just looks like we're looking down to see everything. And that is true, because he's fighting two guys. You do have to see everything. So that's the reasoning behind this camera angle. It was initially for the archers. I don't think it came through, but I still think it works. The unnoticed actions here are that he blocks, swings it over, ignore that clipping, blocks a second one, and as this guy comes in for his third attack, he actually slips under with the knife up there, sword on the other side. There were two actions there. See, I already missed a whole bunch. Block, block. This dude swings, he stabs. This dude back here leaps in and grabs him on the shoulder. Arkosh turns around, slices him with the sword, and then stabs him with the knife in like 2 seconds, right? So watch this. Two attacks. 1, 2. And once he's been stabbed with a knife, pulls the guy back to trip this dude over. And then finishes him off with a sword. That was the entire choreography there. Don't ask how I tried that in real life. If you want to know, I grab pillows and I grab my swords. That's how I tried that. This here is my teacher's favorite scene. See, I knew I could animate a fight scene standing still. I knew I could animate a fight scene while people were in motion. I knew I could animate a fight scene against multiple opponents. I knew I could animate a fight scene with multiple different weapons. I did not know if I could do all of that combined with running upstairs. And I damn right proved it. I could do it, right? First dude comes here, attacks him with a khopesh. That's the Egyptian weapon that he's holding right there in the Sakassaran dude's hands. Josiah says you have swords. Give me 2 seconds. I've got these 2 anime prop swords that I do a lot of the choreography with. Why? Because these are extremely lightweight. I can swing these around very easily. I've got this actual metal sword. I don't use this too much because it has the potential to shatter stuff. That's not all I have. These 2 are Wing Chun blades. This is what I used for Arkosh's knife. So when I was doing Arkosh, I used this for the knife in the left hand, and one of the blue swords from earlier from Sword Art for the main diamond sword. This is a tactical knife for airsoft use. Now, airsoft is not legal in Australia, but I'm not from Australia, so that's why I have one of these. Back. Also, speaking of that sword, the metal sword I actually did use for this one, and you did see me use it. Oh, you didn't see it, you heard it. Because a lot of the sword sounds and the clank was me actually grabbing the sword and smashing it on the sheath. So that's a lot of where the metal sounds came from. Bryger says that he has 2 long-handed... Wow, no. 2... large two-handed sword, which is fun to show off. Yeah, it is. I've just got a whole bunch of notifications on my phone and just lit me up. Josiah says, by the way, it looks like you were trying to move by a very small increment. You can actually advance / go back single frames at a time with the... Oh, can you? That just played it. Hold on. Oh, okay, I did not know that. Thank you. I was pressing the left and right keys. I knew about J and L and the arrow keys. I never knew about the comma and the period. There you go. So pressing comma goes back by a frame. Pressing full stop goes forward by a frame. Thanks for that. Did not know that. Thank you. So what did I miss here? I think I missed quite a lot. I was way back here. Alright. So dude charges in with a Khopesh. That's an Egyptian weapon. Keep in mind, I do value historical accuracy. I know this is a medieval fantasy. And I do like to mix my time periods a bit together as long as it looks historical and it makes sense. The Khopesh is an ancient Egyptian weapon, and seeing as much of Sakrasara is set in a desert, I felt that this was a very fitting weapon. Dude charges in with a Khopesh, Arkosh steps out of the way. Due to the Khopesh completely misses, Arkosh counters with a cut there. One cut is all it takes because even if it doesn't really cut through him, it pushes the guy down the stairs, and that's what matters. This dude in the back there, he's actually using a different weapon. He's using... I don't remember the exact name, but it's not a falchion. It's close to a falchion, whatever it is, right? A scimitar, that's what it was. I think it was a scimitar. It doesn't look like a scimitar. Whatever it was, right? Whatever it was, I did some research into that. I don't really think he hit this dude. Yeah, he kind of guided his arm down. See, he parried the sword and used the sword to push the guy down the stairs. He didn't actually hit this guy. And that's all it took to off-balance the dude, enough for him to fall off the stairs. This dude with the spear up top, because of the widescreen, the black frames where my hand is, you can't actually see him winding up the spear. But he does wind up the spear for this thrust that Arkosh ducks under. It doesn't look that close here, but it looked a lot closer when I was animating it. After he ducks under, double stab this guy. And remember those archers, you can never forget about those archers. Turn around, and voila. By the way, animating the cloak on Arkosh was an absolute bitch. I'm really happy I did this whole prologue thing because I could test out the Arkosh rig. Once I finished this entire prologue animation, I went, like yesterday, I fixed up the entire cloth rig. Just because it was so, like you could see it bugging out so much in this animation. It was very, very difficult to deal with. Anyway. So he's marched up the stairs. Now he's he's out of range from the archers, so he can finally take time to slow down his pace. Does that bridge dropping down make sense? No, it doesn't. But I don't know how else to show the bridge like unlocking, if that even makes sense. So I just did that for the sake of animation. I had to do that. I really like this camera angle with the shield wall here and the the knife coming in. The thing with the shield wall was that we spent, I think Harry and I, we spent 3 days or 2 days trying to figure out how to break this damn shield wall. See, here's the thing. All the stuff that Arkosh has done so far, I was able to do. So I know it's possible to do. These aren't impossible things, right? So if I have, it's not, you would not go to a battlefield with a dagger and a sword. You would most likely do sword and a shield, right? But I thought to myself, if I have a dagger and a sword, how would I deal with a dude with a spear, a dude with a khopesh, multiple dudes with khopeshes, bow and arrow? How would I deal with that? And I start learning how to deal with that. But a shield wall where you can only go in one direction and there's 3 guys and they all have spears pointing towards you, and you only got like a pesky little knife and some random sword, we struggled to find a concrete way to break through this. I thought, well, he could try to flip across, but that wouldn't work because he just get speared to death. He could try to kick one of the shields down. That's not going to work because the other guys would just, like, probably get speared before he even gets close.
Definitely.
So we thought, okay, let's say we're playing Minecraft. If people shield, how do we counter that? And I thought, wait, potions. Just hurl a potion at him. And I was known way back in the day for using potions when I do PvP. Because in the old days when you had Diamond Armor Protection 5 or whatever, that did not help against potions. So I loved hurling potions at people because it really hurt people. And so when I realized I could use potions, I'm like, that's good. I can put my Turbulence FD skills to use. And that's the whole like explosion thing that you see. Guess I gotta keep fighting this haunting fear in my heart. Oh, I gotta keep moving. Great sound design by Adam there. He's the one who put that like little ring there. I would not have thought about that. I'm just gonna take a second to read the comments here. Josiah says, I really thought Arkosh was going to cut down a bridge to beat the big guy. See, that's the exact thought that crossed my mind as I was showing it at PAX. I thought to myself, damn it, he should have cut off the bridge. Did that occur to you, Harry?
No.
Yeah, I was showing it at PAX. I was like, damn it, it would be so cool if he set it up so that it would, yeah. It was such a good idea that I completely missed on, unfortunately. No, because there was a story thing. We had to tell the story. That's why I didn't do the bridge cut. I could have done it though. I probably would have.
It would become like a Indiana Jones thing.
No, the reason we didn't do it was because I had to do the Ender Arm. But
no, if you had done it, though.
Yeah. Wait, how would it have been Indiana Jones?
So you know that one scene in Indiana Jones where he has a gun, and a dude's like swinging swords at him?
Oh no, he wouldn't be an easy kill. He'd be like struggling really hard. In hindsight, I would make him do the Ender Arm thing and then use the Ender Arm to cut off the bridge, so that he would go through the entire fight first and then finish the guy off. Bryger says the one thing I actually could point out as a flaw in this scene. Why would they ever take down the bridge when they were attacked? I'm glad you pointed that out because I thought nobody would notice. You got me there. Like, honestly, I was hoping that no one would notice that, and you did. Yeah, you got me there. Josiah says to beat Arkosh. Josiah got my back. Josiah says to beat Arkosh. They seem to want to capture him after all. Well, could they shoot arrows to disable him? He was even on the other side of the bridge at one point. Yeah, he was. Yeah, the whole bridge fight was literally for the sake of fighting. See, the purpose for making this prologue for me, not just for the story, right? For me, was to test out my animation skills. It was one, to prove to myself that I could do it, to prove to others that I could do it, to test where my animation skills are at, because I haven't made an animation in 4 or 5 years. And it was to see if the entire thing would come together well, basically. So, yeah, I was also to see if the fight scenes. Yeah, the main thing was the fight scenes. To test if the fight scenes would work well. So there are a lot of problems with, like, the continuity here. There are. Josiah does have my back, though. The archers can't reach him. Yep, the archers cannot reach him. He's actually undercover right now. But, Josiah, I'm going to have to betray you. If you actually take a look around, archers can go all the way up top where my mouse is. So, yeah, I can't back myself up here. He does the potion thing, stops, stares. This was slowed down by 50% because I rendered the frames really badly, but literally nobody noticed, so let's move on. This dude was interesting. I don't want to get, again, I'm not going to get too technical here, but I did make his muscles extrude as a test, and it looked really interesting. Oh, I'm not sure if you can see back there. Someone did mention earlier that Arkosh got to the other side of the bridge. The reason he didn't just run up those stairs into the building was because back there's a portcullis. Portcullis is one of those big, like, raising gates. There were 2 portcullises back there, and he could not have gone through those. This right here is a very interesting pose. Back in 2014, I made, let me see if I can find, how should I find, it's probably in my nostalgia photo. Let me dig up my nostalgia. So back in 2014, when I first made the renders of the entire Wandering Knights team, which is the main team in Levaslier. Let me, where could it possibly be? See, I'm browsing on the other screen because my nickname is Tom Holland. I can't go there. Alright, I found something interesting. Here you go. So, oh, no, never mind. Wrong one. Haha. I do have a nostalgia photo somewhere. It's literally labeled nostalgia. Oh, it's on Drive. That's where it is. That's fine. I can go and Drive. I know Drive has no spoilers. Oh, that's my school photo. You don't want to see my school photo. There's nothing on my school photo. I just don't want you to see it. This is this the right file? No, that's not, yeah, that's Gamers WJ. I need to use Levaslier. Alright, here we go. This is better. Shared with me. Bryger says, so how does it all end? I don't really understand what you mean by that. There it is, the nostalgia folder. Right. So, in 2013, no, 2014, there you go. 2014, I made Schaefer Heaton over here, this character. I made him do this pose with the sword. And at the time, it didn't really mean anything. But as time went along, and we started making more and more renders, we ended up at one point making this render for 3D print, as well as this render. And because Harry and I, we both know where the story is going, and because he's in the same pose, we thought about it. We were like, huh. We could do something with that pose. That pose could be very iconic. I could work with that. And we decided to make that the quote-unquote the Warlord's pose. And so it's like a Warlord's honor thing. Before the Warlords get into a fight, they do this pose as a sign of honor, and then they wave it back down, and then they start fighting. So that's the reason he did this whole thing here. Oh, a Warlord, by the way. A Warlord is the royal protector of a city. A Warlord, Harry, I've retconned this a little bit. You don't know this. Yeah. A Warlord is appointed by a king and is one of the best. No, he's the best warrior of that certain city. And all the warlords, they occasionally go and compete against each other. The warlords of different cities, they compete against each other. Other people might try to take the warlord title from them in a competition to show their dominance, in which the king would have to approve and whatnot. So the warlord thing, the warlord's helmet is a big sign of just strength, dominance, and confidence, basically. I know Arkosh right now is the ex-warlord, so it was really funny because I did say he is the ex-warlord. I received a comment that said, I really like the direction this animation is going. Maybe in the future, Arkosh will meet his match. I'm like, that's a fun comment. I'm reading the chat right now, and it's like, just tell us how the series ends. Well, it ends in the end. That's all I can say. That was not a holiday. Tom Holland. That's everything. You guys all call me Tom Holland. Yeah, I know. I'm Tom Holland. All right. So anyway, this scene was cool. I feel like I could have added more camera shake here to make it feel like more action packed. He steps on a dead body. No, I think it's a bit cut off screen. That dead body down in the middle, he actually steps on it to get a little boost of a jump there. I just felt like disrespecting that guy in the middle. This impact was extremely hard. This would be impossible to film in real life. That's why I love animation. Look where he flies. You could not film this in real life. He hits the camera. You could not do this in real life. That's why I love animation. It's so much more freedom. Something for all the Minecraft animators here to notice. Show me the end of the scene. It's very difficult to spot exactly where the world cuts off. Why? Because I took care to make sure I make the background have like trees and shit, so it looks like it goes pretty far back. I did this by proxying different, like I just rendered out separate chunks of trees, and I would just paste different chunks of trees in the background just to make it look like a forest. I took care to not show the end of the world because the end of the world breaks immersion. So that's a tip for any Minecraft animator out there. Don't have the end of the world. Bryger says you could go with CGI. Mate, I do visual effects for a living. I've had enough visual effects. This is a good thumbnail. I love this. Nothing too special here. This is another case of the vertigo zoom. This is the second time I've used the vertigo zoom here. What I used it in this case for was to show fear and how, like, the depth just kind of shoots down. In hindsight, I could have done a lot more. I should have pushed it way further down. That's not enough for me. There was a minor discrepancy there that not many people noticed. I rendered this exact scene at a different time to this scene, so it looks a little bit different if you just look at the walls. Minor discrepancy, nothing too special. This here is a case of Monty In the demo versions of the animation, Arkosh actually got knocked back without doing this spin thing. And as I was going through this entire scene with my assistant animators, we were feeling like everything was a bit too weightless. There wasn't enough oomph in all the attacks. And we wanted to just generally make the entire thing feel more complex. For guys who don't know Monty is the writer and animator of RWBY. It's an animated web series. Monty is an amazing animator, one of the most inspirational ones to date, and one of his best sayings was, when in doubt, add a spin. So, I was in doubt here. I think I did this during a live stream as well. I was in doubt, add a spin.
Yeah.
Works perfectly fine. This here is my hand-to-hand combat showing. We've done enough weapons combats, and here's a theory from me. As a fight choreographer, as a stunt choreographer, the most interesting fights, take this from me, right? The most interesting fights are not the ones that are most obvious. So, if you see a fist fight going on, so let's say, you know, drug dealer versus police, and they're in a fist fight situation, in a kitchen somewhere, okay? The most obvious way to finish the fight is just to punch the guy down. What if you instead introduced a new element? What if, all of a sudden, the drug guy, like, did a barrel roll over one of the kitchen tables and grabbed a kitchen knife? All of a sudden, everything changes. Your fight becomes a lot more interesting. Or what if all of a sudden, like, the cop disarms the knife, tackles the guy down to the ground, now it's a grappling situation, and the cop has a handcuff? Entire thing changes. When you introduce new elements to fights, it makes them a lot more creative and a lot more interesting. Don't always go with the most obvious route when you're doing a fight scene. This is a scenario right here. Arkosh got disarmed, and so now he's going to use his fists. This was also a test to see how fist fighting would look in a very close quarter scenario. I don't think it ended up very well, and this is something that Eric pointed out. So he lands a Superman punch there. With his left, like, armored hand, hard punch straight to the liver. People who don't know MMA or don't know fighting at all don't know this. That's where the liver is. If you get hit in the liver, you go straight down. So that, for me, looked like it really hurt. We've got a double take there, but it's fine. This is an uppercut to the face. I like that impact there. But after this, so all three of those strikes were fine. I think after this is where we get into some muddy waters. Did someone just tag me on Discord? No. Okay. What he does next, he uses his left arm. I'm going to stand up for this, right? He uses his left arm to pin the guy's axe, and he uses his right arm to strike the dude. Right there. Now he uses both arms, and they're basically having a tugging contest of seeing who can get the axe. I don't think I did a very good job animating this. I feel like it looks more like they're doing that, which, like, that just doesn't look like anything. So right here, you know, he pulls, and at one point he breaks out and punches the dude. He tries to pull back again and punch the guy again, but the big guy, he actually puts his hand up to block that, right? And in doing so, it stuns Arkosh. The big guy has his hand on Arkosh's head right now, so Arkosh, if I was in his perspective, his head is actually being pushed that way, so he can't look at what's happening there. Hence why he gets hit with this mega kick. The song right now enters its bridging stage, or its bridge stage. I've just realized we've completely forgotten about the lyrics. I think I'm going to try to upload the lyrics on the actual thing as a CC. I don't know why I didn't upload properly. I'm really proud of what the song did for the bridge, because I actually did it. Not in that I played it, but when Francis or Adam sent the song back to me for a demo listen, I was like, I like the bridge, but here, you can try this. And I sang this entire bit for him, and he was like, oh, I like that. And he did it, and he did it so much better than me. But anyway, this is another one of those POV shots, because I knew people would love these POV shots. I started actually hinting at the hand right here. Look at where he looks next. At the hand. He's thinking about it. About the underhand, I'll get to that later. Looks at the hand, looks back at the guy. Look where he looks now. The entire time he's looking at his hand. Look at this shot. Look what he's looking at. He's always looking at that hand. He's trying to make the decision of whether to use it or not. Boom. Love that. So why is this Ender hand such a big deal? Why is this Ender hand such a big deal? I'm remodeling it. Don't worry about this. This is a shit model. I'm gonna remodel that. Hold on. That's my Facebook going off. I don't know who's paying me. Hold up. I'm gonna quit my Facebook right now. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. So in Levaslier, we don't have standard Minecraft Endermen. I don't like the idea of stealing some assets from some random game and then claiming them to be my own. By the way, just take a note of the portcullis right behind him. That's why I can't go past. So here, the Endermen were actually heavily based off of the Flood from Halo. This was the plan way from the original day, right? 2014, we made the original episode 1 of Levaslier. Very few people have seen that. I know one person definitely has because they sent it back to me. But even way back then in 2014, the Endermen were based heavily on the Flood. And if you don't know what the Flood is, it's a highly intelligent, parasitic, zombie-like virus that spreads in the Halo universe. The Ender, in this case, during this exact time period, nobody knows what the Ender is. No, people know what the Ender is because... Wait, Holiday?
Holiday.
Okay, back up from that. What can I explain here? I can explain the hand. Okay. So why was he regretting, why was he stalling before using the hand? Why did he have to think about it? The story with Arkosh's hand, I can say this. I think I'll be fine saying this. A bit of exposition from me, but whatever. Arkosh's job during this time is to discover the truth behind the Ender. No, this is public. This is public. The Ender caused havoc on all of Lazuria, causing millions of deaths way back in what we call the old day. That event is blamed on the slimes. That's why the slimes are excluded from all human civilizations. Arkosh is trying to find the truth behind the Ender because he knows that the slimes didn't do it. Now, why the slimes exist, I think Josiah asked this during my PAX conference. Why there are slimes, you're gonna have to find out and wait to find out for yourself. But basically, as Arkosh is investigating what this Ender thing is, and he's been investigating and learning for several years, he touches something he's not supposed to, and he gets corrupted by the Ender. Corrupted is the word we're using, not infected. Corrupted. He finds out that he can actually harness the power to his own use and make like different shapes out of it and make weapons out of it. But every single time he uses it, it starts spreading more and more and more. That's why he has this big armor thing to lock it off. That's a bit of Arkosh lore that I haven't told anyone, but there you go. That's the story of Arkosh's Ender Arm. Nobody knows about it except him. If he chooses to show this to the humans already have this predisposition that the slimes cause the Ender attack. So he can't show that to the humans. He can't show that to the slimes either just because the slimes have no idea what that shit is. So the only people that know it is himself.
Welcome Yusuf to the conversation.
Yusuf is in the call?
in the call.
Hey everyone.
Hey, there's Yusuf.
Okay.
So Yusuf is our song composer. He's in Canada at the
Hi.
moment. It's like really early in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 7:51.
Alright, so let me get the comments real quick. Josiah says, I actually caught on there was something on with his hand the moment he looked at it. Nice, nice, good, you saw that. Corrupts him, yeah, it is a corruption thing, yeah. So, he does the whole Ender Sword thing, stabs him in the face, I love that shot. What I love more is this judo throw, because I'm a martial artist. Bam, bam, bam. Now remember when I said earlier that the archers could be standing on the perches? As we go up here, you can actually see archers on the perches. But using up that Ender stuff has used up so much of his energy, plus the entire fight going up. I'm not sure if you guys noticed this as well. I have a lot of fighting experience, and cardio is a big, big thing. Arkosh has fought, like, God knows how many people before he got to this big guy. And he's also had to run upstairs, do parkour, dodge arrows, do all of that before fighting him. So if you notice, if you watch the entire thing through again, in the beginning, his pace, his kill rate is like super fast. But as the thing goes on, he actually starts slowing down. That's something that I took note of as well. And so here he just passes out of fatigue. Josiah says, oh, nice. Yeah, hey, Yusuf. Guy says, nice, well done. The music sounds very good so far.
Thank you very much.
Says, Adventure Time Grass Sword. I don't watch Adventure Time, sorry about that. So, boom, passes out. That door sound, I think Adam intentionally tried to time it with the last beat of the song, which I can appreciate. I've talked about this during my first few live streams, but this entire room in the main throne room of Dyer Shield Fortress is very, very heavily set designed. If we take a look at every single element in play here, even if there was no animation, even if there were no characters moving around it, everything was just stationary like this, it still tells a story. That's what I've tried to do at least. So we've got a whole bunch of guards just hanging up and like dead and slaughtered and whatnot. We've got a whole bunch of weapons, we've got blood, we've got plates and chairs scattered all over the place. It tells you there's a fight going on. Who are these purple guys? For anyone who knows anything about Levaslier, hemorrhage is indicated by purple. So these are all hemorrhage knights. I'm trying to look for anything else of note here. The shelf. Y'all forget about the shelf? Harry, do you remember the shelf? That shelf back there is fully 3D modeled. Just saying. Just saying. This right here is me showing off Turbulence FD, my fire simulation stuff. I'm not getting technical here.
Same tone as he.
The devil is a slime wielding 2 blades the same tone as he is referring to not diamond, right? We're not using diamond here. We're using a highly concentrated dwarven metal, which gives the blue transparent tone. The same tone as Arkosh's slime.
He dons a cloak, red, like the blood of his victims.
I do not have to explain that. I do want to point out here that I did do the voice acting for both the General and Arkosh. I also want to point out that you guys have no idea this happened, because this was an internal thing, right? When I was animating the fight with the big guy, I didn't want to call the file for the big guy just big guy, like, because I was working with the files. I actually translated the word tank into Arabic, and that gave me Kazan. And so I temporarily used Kazan as his name. The General, I actually translated pussy into Arabic. I forgot what that gave me, but that was his name. For now, we just call him General. Josiah says Mithro. Yeah, kind of like Mithro, but I went a lot deeper with the Dwarven Metal. There are various different stages of Dwarven Metal and various different concentrations. I've taken a look at the atomic construct of it. I'm not gonna, like, I know this. It's not gonna be shown in the series, but it makes sense because, like, I've taken time to actually think about everything. So the line that he says, "Red like blood of his victims," that's self-explanatory. I'm not gonna dig into that. Many people did point out to me that this dude in front is very unfortunate. I agree. The knife used to be in his back, but it blocked everything, so I moved it to his head, made it worse.
Adamant, like his...
I love this. This was a hindsight decision thing. You know what? A good idea for me to do right now is to pull up the storyboard of exactly how I planned these scenes out. Because I did plan all the... I actually drew the storyboards for these few specific scenes. We have an old art of Arkosh, new art of Arkosh. Can you guys see what I'm doing? I hope not, because there's some stuff here that I would rather not show. Oh, no, it's not in here. It's in the other book. Hold on. Here, this book. You've all seen this book before. This book has been with me since the beginning of time. Josiah says that's awesome. You rarely see much detail in fictional meadows. I tend to overthink a lot of things. In the builds, every single build, I've done historical research to see what they're like. And like I mentioned earlier with the fights, there is fantasy fighting, there's real fighting, and then there's realistic fighting. My builds are not fantasy builds, they are not real builds, they are realistic buildings that I take element from each one that I like and I mix them up together. Example, on the castles, you know how they have these sawtooth patterns? A lot of people don't know what they're actually for. If you dig some research into it, it's not actually that hard to find. But say you have the castle wall here. The sawtooth pattern up top, it actually sticks out a little bit. So that you get this empty space down the middle. That empty space is called a matriculation. So that you can shoot down, like straight down on the wall. Because otherwise, people hide down here, you can't ever shoot them, right? But now you have that hole there, you can actually shoot down on them. So just like, I overthink everything. Let me show you the exact few frames that I drew. Here we go. If you want to compare everything... Oh, dear Lord. There's your first shot. That's them walking through the door. The next shot is of the panning, so this is how it begins. There's the door. That's them walking in. That's the dinner table. What's the next one? The next one should be the... Yeah, that's after it pans up, so those are all the dead bodies up top. That's the fire. Yeah, oh wait, are we on the fire right now? Yeah, no, whatever. So yeah, wait. There. That's the one that we just went past. You see them in the background, dude in front just lighting the fire. Bryger says, matriculations! That's a reference to Shadiversity. Shoutouts to Shad. What a lad. That's the exact shot that you're seeing right now. That's exactly what you're seeing. And there's the next one. I'm so proud of that. That was a hindsight decision to burn the hemorrhage flag.
Top it off with the helmet of the...
Remember earlier when I mentioned the Warlord position and Warlord Dyer shield? Look in the bottom right corner. That's a painting of Warlord Dyer shield, the guy who I believe we said he built Dyer shield fortress. Yeah, so we have a painting for him just right there for him.
The Warlord. There. We have it.
If you guys want further comparisons of what happens, after the flag burn, there is that, which is exactly what you're seeing. And then the next shot was supposedly his face. Let's see if that's true. It's face, and then a rule of thirds of him talking, and then him down there. Let's see.
How is it a beast like you is so easily tamed by the words of men that seek nothing but to exploit you for their own greed? Arkosh, Levaslier.
I just want to point out his lines right now. How is it a beast like you is so easily tamed by the words of men that seek nothing but their own greed, or whatever? I forgot the line. He's saying that to provoke Arkosh because of the aforementioned relationship between humans and slimes. Humans and slimes do not get along, but because only Lazuria was attacked, the Sakrasara guys have no clue what the slimes and the humans over at Lazuria are doing. So for the Sakrasara guys, they have no grudge against the slimes. They just have the grudge against the Lazurians. Now, why the Lazurians and Sakrasarans are fighting, that's holiday. Josiah says, I still feel like that one line is weird. And there we have it. I don't exactly know what it is, but it feels off to me. I think, yeah, in hindsight, why am I still getting Facebook notifications? I have Facebook closed. It's closed. Okay. Yeah, it does feel off, But what it was supposed to mean was, and there we have it. There we have the Warlord, or the Devil, right? But because he said that in the beginning, I do agree with you. I feel like it's a bit off. Anyway, the next shot is join us. Yep. See, so this shows these guys have no relationship to the slimes at all. They just don't like Lazurians, period.
Empire of Sakasara, Arkosh. The sun sets on Lazuria, but shines eternal for the Empire.
That's a subtle reference to the British Empire right there. The sun shines eternal on the British Empire. That line. This right here is another reference to Dylan Goo's Gods Don't Bleed. Don't know how many people saw the reference, but of course I won't throw in a random reference there if it doesn't make sense. Let me show you the exact reference. There it is. There's there. That's the exact reference. Like I said, I won't put that in if it doesn't make sense. I accidentally said why I put him in one of the videos. I can't say why I put him there. Just no. I'm stepping really close to spoiler territory right now, so I'm slowing down quite a lot just because. Don't know. I'm gonna move on from that. And let you guys figure that one out. But remember what I said about frame composition. Remember that. Eric says the White Devil. Well, we do have the White Death, who is an actual character that I'll get to in another video, I think. An interesting thing to point out here is not not only the guards. I love the guards' reactions here, by the way. Oh shit, I went way too far back. I actually drew these guys out. They're like just looking at each other like, what? But I wanted to point something out about the voice acting. I told Adam to just kind of mess with the voice acting until it sounded like two different people. What I thought he did was up the pitch of the general and lower the pitch of Arkosh. And I asked him if that's what he did. Apparently not. Apparently he upped the pitch of the general and left the Arkosh one untouched. Which is surprising to me because I didn't know I could pull that off. I'm no professional voice actor by any means. I have not had any formal training with voice acting, but I do like acting, and I like taking in the emotions of the characters and just feeling it for myself. Like I like having that emotional bond there. I will not be voice acting Arkosh in the final. We have a voice actor for Arkosh, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to train him. I don't have the skills to be a good enough director to train people very well. I'm still developing that skill, so unfortunately I couldn't use the actual voice actor for Arkosh in this video. I just had to step in myself, because I feel like I could get what I want easier. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is completely up to you. Many people will say it's a bad thing because I'm too controlling of a director. You know, so be it. Like, that I couldn't have done much here.
Kill him.
This needs to be slowed down a lot because I don't. People might not understand what happened here actually. I'm breaking down fight choreography as part of like a director's thing because I do have to direct fights as well. Basically, dude, I'm using my fingers. What am I doing? Dude over here has Arkosh's shoulder. So when Arkosh twists his body downwards, this dude actually falls over. As a result, Arkosh is able to slip under the guy on the left's arm, and the guy over there ends up slicing his own mate. He manages to slip out this way with just enough time to load up his leg to fire off a head kick. So that's exactly what happened there. Eric says, find a first AD for yourself if you are very controlling as a director. Yeah, I will be my own first AD. First AD is an assistant director. Here we go with the vertigo zooms again. What did I tell you about me loving vertigo zooms? It's a very gimmicky, but I just love them so much. See, that's another one. See, the fear, the shock, the realization. That's what it was.
Surely.
And another thing about fighting choreographies, this was the last frame that I drew. And then it went blank. I don't storyboard fight scenes. Because if I storyboard them and they're pre-planned, I don't feel like that's a fight. if I go into a fight with someone on the street or something, let's say we meet up at 6 and we're going to fight in the parking lot, can I predict and storyboard every single thing that's going to happen in that fight? No, because fights are unpredictable. Fights have a natural flow to them. If I storyboard everything, it's not going to feel as natural. I much rather prefer animating the entire fight first, then worrying about where to stick the camera.
You just, General. You've destroyed yourself. Nothing more.
How he took off those, shackles? See, what I what I wanted to do was that, to split it in half. I don't know. I think we were time short or something, so I scrapped that idea. I said, you know what? He's a slime. He can be flexible. He'll just slip through it.
You just, General.
Either way, he
You've
got the point
destroyed
across. He took
yourself.
the things off.
Nothing more.
I think I could have done that a lot better. Just moving on. Arkosh really does like to step on dead bodies. Don't know. Oh.
The sun was set for Lazuria. The same.
Can we please take a second to appreciate the music here? Yusuf, the tension that you built at the end moment. What was your whole thought process while building the end scene?
Okay, so here's exactly what happened. I don't know if you recall, but you basically woke up one morning, called me, and said, "Hey, get this! I have this tune in my head, and that's a tune that plays throughout the beginning of the soundtrack. You're like, I have a tune in my head. It goes dum 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 dum."
Oh shit!
And
That one.
you said, "Yeah," and you said, "Why don't you play with that?" And then I said, "All right." And then you sent me the prologue, and I was like, "Oh my god, yes, that's exactly." Yes, that's exactly what's gonna happen. Is he's walking up to Lord Pussy,
Lord Pussy.
Yeah, and then I played with it a little, and I figured, yes, this would go beautifully as a piano tone because it would be really unsettling.
Yes.
So that happened for a little bit until I saw that you hit him in the face with you hit him in the face with a big metal cup for some reason. But when I saw that, I was like, oof, that's going to cause a bass drop. And I use a lot of bass drops in the soundtrack, but I use them strategically so that they don't defeat the medieval setting of the or like the old-timey world setting of the series.
You did.
But like that hit deserved a bass drop, and I did, and I made it kind of long.
Yeah.
And then there's a little sword swipe in the background.
Was that what it was?
A little,
I did hear that. Yes, I did. So the thing was,
but
that
I got
I'm gonna
rid of,
add a little bit to that hit as well. At
mm-hmm.
the end, where the dude gets hit with a big metal cup, Yusuf added sound effects to that, and he did the music for that without telling me. So I added my own sound effects to that as well, without telling anyone.
All right.
So Adam added sound effects to that one as well. So at the end, that hit sounds so powerful because the three of us just chucked like sounds upon sound in that one smack. That's why it sounds so beefy. Yeah.
Yeah, here's how that happened. Okay, so I added the sword swipe, but I defed out the actual sword swipe.
Yeah.
And I only kept this high-pitched sort of eerie
ring.
Ring to it so that it sounds like it was a deafening hit.
Right.
And then that's when the piano of the actual Levaslier theme kicks in.
See, I didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't click in my head that the sword swipe ring is like a head ringing. I just thought the sword swipe ring was because it was like a metal thing, so it should ring a little bit. So that was a good move. I didn't think about that. Good move.
Yeah, it was just to cause tension really before the piano slipped in and the actual theme started. And during the actual theme, I committed the crime of adding my own sound effects again. Again, Adam, I'm really sorry, but I was kind of passionate about it. So, I added a ball kind of background sound effect for when the title card appears.
Just to roll back a little
and then
bit,
that's when the
Josiah said that he can fully understand that, but as someone who has never fought in real life, he prefers to storyboard his fight scenes. I can't give advice to someone. I can't give advice from the perspective of someone who's never fought before because I have. But perhaps that might actually help because if you've never really do you watch fights? And if you watch fights, what type of fights do you watch? There are the hilarious ones like the ones in Star Trek with the ha, And then there's the real fighting, which is UFC, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, that sort of shit, like actual fighting competition. And then there's the realistic range in the middle, the ones that I absolutely love. This is, Donnie Yen type of shit. Bruce Lee even. So a lot of Asian martial arts. John Wick. Trying to name some off the top of my head, but I can't. Whatever. Ip Man is my favorite. Ip Man is my favorite movie of all time. Not because I worked on it, but because I genuinely love it. So, if you ever want to see good fight choreography in realistic fighting, not real fighting, not fantasy, realistic, so it could happen, but it probably won't, Ip Man is the movie to go for amazing fight choreography. Yusuf, I'll get back to you in a quick bit, at the end especially. Let me just actually go to that hit for anyone who wants to hear it again. Oh, I muted it.
Self, nothing more. The sun will set for Lazuria, the same way it sets for you. The only way the sun will shine eternally is when you are up in the ether.
I heard a baseball bat in there too. I'm not sure who put that in there. It might just sound like a baseball bat because so many of us were adding layers on layers and layers that it just completely...
I can personally guarantee you I did not add a baseball bat
I think
to a
it's
goblet
your your sword slice combined with the initial impact combined with something in the middle that made it sound like a metal baseball bat.
Probably, but I promise you I did not go into iMovie and get a stock baseball bat hit and just chuck it in there.
Josiah says, I do watch fighting, mostly fantasy stuff like anime or TV shows and the sorts. Jackie Chan, for instance, or Fairy Tail. Yeah, that's cool. You're gonna get a very fantasy-styled fighting that way. If that's your taste, go for it. Like, I'm not here to judge people's taste on fighting. I prefer right in the middle, so I prefer leaning towards the realistic side as well. But I can totally understand if you like doing fantasy fighting. Especially because if you don't grasp what real fighting is like, it's very difficult for you to say something as realistic when you've just never done it. So completely understandable. And that's I love breaking down my fights, especially like fights like these, because I know what's happening actually works. So I can like say from that perspective. Yusuf, your dung 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 with the piano gave people chills at PAX.
That's fucking beautiful.
Yes, it did.
Not just PAX, actually.
Not just PAX, and yeah, everyone who watched it, I think, got chills from those piano. The piano before that big ass hit. Very happy about the theme song. See, I approached Yusuf without an idea of what I wanted the theme song to sound like. I literally approached him with the idea, and he made the theme song himself. He sent it to me. It took a while for me to sit with it, I think, and I offered you some like different variations of it as well, and we settled with the current one. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way it sounds. We're still working on it to make it sound even better. But just a quick reminder, simplicity is best. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the original theme was a lot less. It was a lot less impactful. It was a lot less of a theme and a lot more just a bunch of noises.
Yes, it was. It was
that
very
sounded like they could be in.
Yeah.
It was called. I called it War Cry because I had no idea what the series was about mostly.
Yeah.
And then when I got a better view of it, I was like, okay, I need a theme. So I just played around with a few combination of notes, and I figured out 4 chords that I would be using for most of the soundtracks, and those other notes, like those notes that you'll hear throughout the entire Levaslier soundtrack, and probably you'll hear them sprinkled around other soundtracks as well, depending on the scene or episode that they're associated with.
Because I think what I told you as well is to take a look at some anime inspirations. I personally, my favorite soundtracks are all from anime because I watch a whole lot of anime. Favorite anime composer, Hiroyuki Sawano. But I pointed out to Yusuf that in a lot of animes, they do this thing where the theme is consistent, but the tone of it changes. So say, for example, Attack on Titan. In a very heroic moment, the music would be like blaring with orchestra and whatnot. In a sad moment where everyone dies, it's the same melody, but played with just pianos, and it sounds very solemn. But it's the same melody. That's the key point. And that's
exactly what I tried to do here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly what I tried to do here when I did it with the piano, because it was coming from a very holy crap moment where you just beat the guy's face in, and you're just recovering from that. So then the piano is what leads you into the main orchestrated theme. So the piano is kind of what takes your hand and tells you, all right, that's okay, moving on from the dude who got his face bashed in. Let's now move on to this epic soundtrack and this huge fireball that comes out from the bottom of the screen. So that's how that
happened.
The thing with the
piano is as well, it's that was entirely your idea. My initial idea for this entire edit was that it would smash him in the head. It would bass drop. It would go boom, and then it would immediately go to then with the big fires and whatnot. And that just didn't have the same impact that yours did, because yours had that chilling moment where everyone got the chills, and that's where the effectiveness is, because we had time to settle with what we just saw, and we were like, holy shit, that just happened. And then you get hit with a second wave, and goddamn, you're a genius for making that. Those pianos. I remember the first time hearing that.
Thank you very much.
I swear, it works so well. Actually, where did you get your inspiration from? Like, I know this, but I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so 2013, I go with my dad and my brother, and I go see Man of Steel. As nerdy as it sounds, I went to see Man of Steel. I was 13 years old, and now to me, I thought they stole a little bit of the soundtrack from, as a first impression, I thought they stole a little bit of the soundtrack from Final Destination 4. And then I grew up, and I listened to that soundtrack one last time, and I figured out it was by Hans Zimmer, who is my absolute favorite composer of all time. And I was like, are you allowed to swear on these streams?
Yeah, I swear all the goddamn time.
All right, holy mother of fuck, this is an amazing soundtrack. And the reason it's an amazing soundtrack is not because of the beautifully orchestrated instruments. It's not because of Hans Zimmer's beautiful choice of timing and everything. It's actually because of two notes that play right before the main theme kicks in. And I don't want to play them now because I'll feel like they'll be distorted on the
yeah, it's also going to be copyrighted
on the audio. Right, yes. But screw it. I mean, they're two notes. So they basically go and they don't sound like two notes. They sound like two notes melted into one. So you kind of get this, and you could get that with a cello, or you could get that with an eero, or whichever. But like, the point is, those two notes are the best part of the soundtrack. So that's where I kind of ripped that off. I mean, you'll hear a slight rock guitar do that with the combination of a rock guitar and an eero, copy those two notes, but in my key, and they just add so much impact. Now, Julian had a problem with the electric guitar, and he told me to find something different. I found something different for one of the other soundtracks, and this was actually a soundtrack that I had intended to play throughout the fight scene of the prologue, and that's what I scored it over.
Oh, before Adam.
But I didn't. Before we decided we were doing a song instead, which, by the way, I love and I'll talk about later. But yeah, that's what I scored it over, and that really helped. Yeah, and I found an instrument to replace the rock guitars, but unfortunately, nothing works as well as the electric guitar does. Even though it's like really in the background, nothing gives it as much impact as the electric guitar during the main theme, because it's just good.
Yeah,
it's just pure good.
Like, I love the sound. So, if anyone's wondering about my beef with the electric guitar, the entire theme of the show is medieval, and in medieval there's no electric guitar. That being said, though, I absolutely love and adore the sound of that electric guitar. It works so damn well. So I was just wondering if we could find an alternate that would work as well. So we're going to have to play around with that a lot more. But, dude, that guitar does sound really damn good.
It's so good. Yeah. It's just, yeah, no, it's great. But, like, I had a lot of fun with it. I had a ton of fun listening to it, like on my way to uni, on my way to work, on my way to anywhere really. And I'd jot down these ideas on how I can make it better. And I wouldn't write them on paper because that's boring, but I would kind of remember them for later.
Right. Yeah. My theory of writing stuff on paper, I don't write shit on paper because if I forget it, it's probably not that good anyway. If I can remember it, it's a damn good idea. That's my theory of remembering things. Anyway, let me try to get into this title a little bit. This title took me months and months and months to do. I started this, I think, either in the beginning of 2018 or the end of 2017. You actually saw a brief version of this. I did a little live stream where I was showing off what I was doing in After Effects and then what I was doing with this. And that was before all these effects came in. There are 5 major effects that goes into this. This is not a technical breakdown. I've said this like the 9th time, but I'm just going to go over what all these 5 effects are. 1, with the fire coming up, this is a mask. So the fire acts as a mask to show the text. The text itself is molten text that shapeshifts back into regular metal text. The metal text itself is an effect. It's not just some typeface. You have to make that yourself. You can see the shimmering on the metal text. This was from Video Copilot, by the way. 4th effect is this ender fading, which does have some symbolism. Not some. It is complete symbolism. And, 6, sorry. The page wipe. This was made using particular. A common question I get is, why the page wipe? You'll see. Episode 1, I promise you will see. May 17, 2019. What is May 17, 2019? It is the 10th anniversary of Minecraft. It's as simple as that. I believe Minecon will be at a similar time as well, and I want to target Minecon for Levaslier. I'll have to take a look into that, so don't quote me on that one. At the end here, I love the way this shot looks. This was such a simple shot. There's lots of set design that's gone into this. We have the little ender chest over there, some piles of logs for firewood, smoke coming out of the fire. The fire itself has this distortion thing that I added using After Effects. All of these other like bits and pieces, they're all from the Conquest resource pack, amazing resource pack. The chests, I didn't just leave the chests there. I actually put them down and rotated them a little bit so that they would look more unique as well. So there's that entire thing going on. First time you ever see me use a sort of unorthodox framing by putting Arkosh on the bottom right corner. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but the entire time Arkosh was moving in the prologue, for a majority of the time, he was moving in one single direction. I broke that down in another. You know what? I'm gonna holiday that one. Anyway, so what's he looking at? What is Arkosh looking at? After all that Dyer shield stuff, he's taken off his Warlord's helmet, and he's sitting there looking at Archdog Levaslier, our actual main protagonist of the entire show. Remember in the beginning when we had the quote, if the world hates you, know that it has hated me before you. Remember that the slimes caused an atrocity way back in the old day. Remember that the humans hated the slimes. Remember that Arkosh is a warlord that works for the humans. And you know what's happened. You know the only direction the show can go is if Archdog enters the city with the humans. So now you start to see how this quote relates. You also start to understand how the lyrics of the entire song build up to this one moment. In a lot of the song, he's saying he's fighting for you, and the you is Archdog. And the fear in this case as well is also Archdog. He fears for Archdog. He wants to fight the battles so that Archdog never has to. That's what Arkosh truly wants, and that's what this entire prologue is about. It's his perspective on war and battle and why he's doing it. Looks down. He did recover his swords, by the way. His swords are right there. Little detail. Ender chest and the ring. The ender chest is a big holiday. So, real quick, our ender chests are not interdimensional ender chests. It's a chest that's painted funny. That's all the ender chest is in the world of Levaslier. And we get to the credits. Cool. Josiah says he thought there was a reference to this. What do you think there was a reference to? Did you mean the shot with the fireplace? This one? I'm gonna wait for a few seconds for him to reply to that. But Yusuf, the end bit, the epilogue to the prologue, so to speak. I used an old track there, a really old track.
Yeah, it's called Slime Out of Water, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I didn't know you made a name for that one. So where
I made
that
a name
came
for them
from?
all.
Sorry?
I'm terrible at naming, actually.
Do you remember that naming file that I gave you? You should reference that.
Yeah, I should.
So for guys who don't know, this song that played during this part, nobody will know this because I never released it. In May of 2018, I released a 3-minute short documentary of Levaslier, and it was really nice. Yusuf did all the music for that one, but it was only 3 minutes. You didn't get to see the other 3 minutes. This was the other 3 minutes. I knew it would be useful somewhere. It just wouldn't be useful for the prologue. And man, it fit really well to the end, don't you think?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, no, it did fit pretty well. It was a nice little tone switch from the really serious and dark and gritty tone of the rest of the prologue.
It does. It also shows Arkosh's soft side and how he's not just some brutish killer. He actually has someone he cares about, someone he wants to go back to.
Whilst at the same time setting up the thing about the chest and the book and everything. Here's what pissed me off about that track.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I remember about a month ago, let's say, you called me up, and you and the rest of the team, you guys called me up, and you're like, wow, this track, this is great, this is an amazing track, it's so beautiful, how did you come up with this? And I was like, dude, I came up with the Levaslier track. I spent 5 minutes on this thing. I spent 5 fucking minutes on this thing. I just kind of came up with it from nowhere. I figured Arkdok is naive. He walks into some sort of dealer's pawn shop or whatever, and that's the track that you get to it. He walks out, he sees the scope of hemorrhage, or he sees the scope of whichever setting he's in, and then that's when the strings come in, right? That's 5 minutes of thought. But people actually like this one more than they like the Levaslier theme, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I told you, simplicity is best. And you put it into such good words. Naivety. This song sounds so just nonchalant and naive, and it just fits Arkdok so well. It's such a big change in mood of what just happened in the entire prologue. It works so well for this scene. It's a very touching.
That's yet another thing that pisses me off.
What?
Because the first track in the album is actually called Enter Arkdok, and it's specifically made for Arkdok.
But this
and
one
yet
just
people
fits
still
more.
like this one even better.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but as long as it's mine, that's great.
Yeah.
You could change the order of it in the future.
We could, but then why would you not have Enter Arkdok in the top, though?
So
That's
you
true.
have their better soundtrack on the top.
Better? Motherfucker, I swear to God.
Subjectively better.
Yeah.
Yusuf, you wanted to comment something on the main song?
The main song?
Yeah.
Perhaps? Yes. Okay. I first
Hold on, let me
heard
play
the
it really
actual
softly in
main
the background.
song.
Hold on. There you
Alright.
go. Go.
So yeah, I first heard the main song during a little teaser that you released about a week before PAX on Instagram, and my first thought was, "Whoa, auto-tune!
Oh.
Wow!"
Yeah.
Yes, I loved the actual song, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this or not, so I won't mention the name of the song. But we were gonna before that, and I can tell this one's really heavily.
I did mention it.
Yeah.
It was the original song that we took inspiration from was Andrew Judah's Fear. That's what it was called.
Alright, well that's great.
Yeah.
Now I know to download it. By the way, shameless plug, download the actual song. So I could tell it took a lot of influence from that.
Yeah.
And I love that because the original song actually works beautifully, and therefore this one does too. Except the lyrics are now totally relevant. They're not somehow obscurely relevant, or they're not You didn't have to find a way to make the lyrics relevant because the song was not made for the series. No, this one was constructed and designed for the series. Now, there was heavy influence on the way that it sounded, music wise, which I love, but the lyrics were totally original. I will admit to not knowing the lyrics. However, I really liked the way that they were constructed in the "I'm fighting for you" format. Like, everything that I'm doing right now, all this killing, all this violence, is to protect and to cherish you.
Yes.
And I like the duality of everything, in that he's good but brutal.
Yeah. And
brutal to be good, the means to an end.
Yeah.
The melody, I love the way it works with the fight scene. How it works as a bit of a nonchalant war theme, whilst also working as something you could listen to on a train. Probably not if you're trying to chill out, but it's just it was nice to listen to.
People really like the song. One of my friends who was who was helping me at PAX actually said that this song could be on a radio.
It could. It really could, because it's very melodic and it's quite catchy. I actually caught myself humming it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught myself humming it last night, but that's only because I watched that freaking teaser so many times. So I can only kind of hum. I can only kind of hum the chorus.
Which teaser did you see? Because I put 2 out.
It was like a couple of seconds long. It was just a bunch of snippets of the fight scene.
The radar ping? Did it have the pong sound?
No, it did not.
Okay, then it's the other one. Okay, it's the first one. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't see that one. I might go check it out. I mean, well, the entire prologue is out now, so that's kind of pointless. But whatever. One more view. So, the only thing I have, the only thing that kind of bugs me with the song is the obvious autotune.
Yeah.
But other than that, totally in love. Totally in love.
Yeah. I'm not sure about my own stance on autotune. I don't think it affects too negatively on the song, because I don't have this negative stigma of autotune. I feel that a lot of musicians do. They hear autotune, like, ugh, autotune. I guess I can appreciate it just because I don't have that stigma. You think so?
Yeah, it's okay. So it's in the exact same way that you said the electric guitar kind of doesn't work with the medieval theme.
Yeah.
Whilst my opinion on the electric guitar is that it's a necessary departure from that world. I think the auto-tune is like, well, I mean, it's really, really sci-fi.
Yeah, okay. No, I can totally see that too.
But like that was at first listen. That was a first listen. I still maintain my stance so as to not fall biased, considering I love this and I'm working on it as well.
It's fine to criticize,
but like
it's fine.
It doesn't bother me as much anymore because I've listened to it so many times.
Yeah.
But at first that's what caught my attention.
I think it was like that for me as well. The first time I ever heard his voice, I did hear the auto-tune in that. But as I listened to it more and more, I just kind of like, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's a great song.
Thank you, Adam. Cool. How much time do we have left?
Thanks, Adam.
We've got 30
Thanks,
minutes. We could start wrapping this up because this entire stream is supposed to be based off of this director's commentary. Harry, you haven't said much. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Which part did you work on? You worked heavily on the builds. Did you?
Yes. I worked on all the jettying on the or the matriculations of the castle.
All the no, I know what the word you're looking for. He's not looking for matriculations, nor is he looking for jettying. He's looking for
no.
Fuck. What's the sawtooth pattern called? I suddenly forgot. Bragger's gonna know this if he's still in the stream.
Yeah, both of us fucking.
Yeah, I forgot the word for it. It's those sawtooth patterns. He worked on all of those around the buildings. The buildings
as
themselves,
well as
we
the,
planned. No, we did plan these out in creative. It's again, this is not a technical breakdown. I'm not going to show you how we built the castles. I already mentioned that we built the castles with historical accuracy in mind, and so a lot of the features on the castle are built to be defensive and offensive at the same time. So it's not easily overrun. The entire structure, like I honestly don't think that realistically Arkosh Levaslier could have taken this by himself. Like, there's just no way. Like, considering how many Sakusara guys there are here as well, there's not that many. But it's fantasy. It's fine. I can let that slide.
I worked on the side of the castle. I worked on some, if not all, of the filling ins for the stone bricks and whatnot.
You made the
for
loss
the castle.
on the downstairs of Dyer shield.
No way.
Did I do that?
Did I? No, you did it.
Okay. No one's gonna understand it.
I wasn't that fucking.
Okay, when we release this map into the public, I hope it's still there. When we release this map to the public, run up to Dyer shield, run up into the fortress area, like the main hold. Go to the bottom floor and just look on the floor. You're gonna see the loss meme. That's very few people are gonna get that, but you're gonna see that.
I'm pretty sure you've removed it.
No, it's still there. It's just I don't know whether we'll remove it by the time the server goes public.
Fair enough.
Because I could totally play that off as floor design. I could.
Fuck off.
Hey, I'm gonna make you look real bad right now.
Yeah.
Fun fact: when they first took me into this map and they first took me into this world, I was new to the entire series. They were trying to get me to. They're trying to have me get a feel for the series, right? And I got Minecraft, and I started walking around, getting acquainted, and then every door I would go through, they would go through first, and then they would shut it in my face. Not good.
I think a lot of the viewers here are familiar with me. I have a tendency to walk into... Okay, here's Minecraft doors, right? You got a 1x1 door. You can open it, and the corner of it will get stuck on the door. I have a tendency to get my shoulder or something stuck on the door, and I can't walk in. That, or I'm playing with Harry. He doesn't do this intentionally. He walks in front of me, I try to go through the door, and he shuts it. So I just, face plant into the door first. So we've just been doing that to everyone else who joins the server.
Well, that's good. I just figured I'd let. This is your director, everyone. He's a man who shuts doors in people's faces.
You know what else we did? We locked you under the in between the two portcullises.
And I escaped.
We did that to everyone.
True. Yeah.
I escaped. Yes.
With speaking of historical accuracy.
What are you backing?
Speaking of historical accuracy, I've mentioned a portcullis. A portcullis is those rising gates that you see in the front of castles. We have two of them. So let's say this is inside the castle, this is outside. When you want to get in, there's two of them. The reason you have this is that if you break the first one, you're stuck on the second one. And the bridge on top of you, that has holes on it where we can throw rocks or hot oil at people, right? In Levaslier, there's going to be lava and rocks or whatever. So what we did was we opened both up, told Yusuf to stand in the middle, and we just shut both of them and we start pouring lava on him.
And me, being this naive and archaic as I was just like, okay. And I kind of just stood there and let them try to douse me with lava. And I think I took the lava buckets out of the dispensers.
We had dispensers, and he took lava out of the dispenser.
I remember. It was like, I pressed the button and I was like,
nothing happened. Yeah.
It's not coming. It's not coming out.
Yeah, I was really proud of myself there. As sad as it sounds.
Dude, you can't blame me, man. I spent so much time making those.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I spent so much time making those portcullises work. I can't.
Yeah, the portcullises actually work. Well, because command block magic or something. I don't know. I'm not any command block. I haven't touched the command block since it came out.
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, Harry, but your command blocks are not taking lava buckets out of the furnace proof.
I'll just make one that. I'll just make a command block that sets a lava right on top of you.
Right. Yeah. That just spawns it there. That would probably make sense.
Yeah. If you don't have a bucket, you're screwed.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Just
We've got 20 minutes left. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a brief take a look around my website and whatnot, just to show people what's on where and whatnot to find shit. Right. We do have a website set up, levaslier.weebly.com. This might very well change to levaslier.com within the next few days if I decide to purchase the domain name. I've just put it on the chat. On the website, you can find out a lot more about Lev. I'm going to be updating this in the next few days to have more pages about the lore and whatnot. Because we've released a prologue and because I've said what I've said in this live stream, I can't take this back. So I can put a lot more stuff out. There you go. Fuck the spoilers. The lore page has a synopsis of the entire story from beginning to end. So this is how, if you want to know how the series ends, there you go. No spoilers there, but it still tells you how it ends. We start diving into timelines. ND stands for New Day. That's the timeline that we're using. I'm going to put up a straight-up timeline for that. If you want to contact us, you can go onto the contact page. Use this email thing if you have questions about production. If it's questions about the story, leave them here on YouTube in the public. Of course, our Discord channel is also wide open. You can check the description for that if you want to join us. What else? I'm looking for 3D animators that know how to run Cinema 4D. I unfortunately cannot pay right now, and it's very difficult to find a good animator that wants to work for free over an extended period of time. That being said, we do know the final deadline is May 17th, 2019. It's going to be done before that because it takes time to edit. If you're willing to spend a few months, I don't even care about your skill as long as you're willing to learn. If you're willing to learn from me, I'd be glad to teach you how to animate. We can spend some time working together and try to get this done before the deadline. What else is there? Like I mentioned earlier, Patreon has been updated. For anyone who is unfamiliar with what Patreon is, you can pledge an amount to me every single month, and I'll receive that amount every month. And in exchange, you get specific rewards. So we have multiple tiers here. Say, for example, the Survivalist tier is $1 per month, and you get a credit in as a special thanks to. You get early access to new episodes of Levaslier, a Survivalist rank on our Discord server, and a Survivalist rank on our Minecraft server when it goes public. I'm still updating this with more stuff. Since we've recently launched the merch store, I'm actually looking at how to integrate the merch store with the Patreon. I'm also gonna do probably down here somewhere. I'm gonna put these directors breakdowns in the Patreon. So this director's breakdown is probably going to be the only director's breakdown that you'll be able to see if you are not a patron. Episode 1's director breakdown will most likely be in here. If we scroll way far down, I'm thinking you will also be allowed to be on our live streams to chat with us together. Because I'm assuming if you're willing to give me $50 a month, you're not here to BS me. So you're welcome on the live streams, and we can talk about how the series is developing together. Cool. If you guys are interested in merch, this is the only variation of art that we have so far. It's just the main posters that I've drawn. I've shown this before. I'm not sharing the link yet just because I haven't set up a full advertising campaign. I don't want you guys to buy some random BS shirt from me for no reason. So I want to, set something up so that we can all buy the shirts together and we can all celebrate and rock these amazing Levaslier t-shirts. I did purchase 2 of them for me and Harry though, so we'll experiment with those. I think that's all I really have to say for this director's breakdown. It'd be interesting to see if, Harry, you can cut this down. We actually don't need to cut. We could cut out the BS and take the important parts, upload this as a director's breakdown, actually. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So, for anyone who is new or unfamiliar with the channel, I upload Minecraft animation tutorials or just tutorials, period, on Mondays. I do special videos on Wednesdays and live stream / podcasts like these on Thursdays. We are starting Levaslier production for episode 1 right over here. So the Levaslier production diary will contain more production stuff. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon, because if you don't hit the bell, YouTube don't like you and they don't show me your they don't show you my videos. Hit that bell icon if you're subscribed. Thank you. And yeah, our community Discord server is always open, waiting for you to join. With that said and done, I think it's time for me to wrap up the stream. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the director's breakdown. I hope this offered some extra insight into the story and lore and the symbolism and all the thought that's gone behind Levaslier. I will do a separate technical breakdown for everyone interested in exactly what I'm doing and how I did what I did. But I know not everyone's interested in that. So separate video that will come later. All right. Cheers. Thank you all.